So take-home quiz, mark your own. I always put my favorite student's name on my quizzes. Good old Ann Surkey. She gets everything right. Think about it. All right, here we go. Aisha's wondering. Oh, she just got the joke now, did she? Ann Surkey. Ann, huh? Huh? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
There you go, Faith. Takes a little bit. Express in scientific notation. So half mark if I see 1.23, half mark for times 10 to the 5th. Okay. So the 1.23, if you botch that, you lose a half mark, or if you have the wrong exponent, you lose a half mark. If you just did this, because that's how your calculator displays them, A, get a better calculator. Have I got on an occasional calculator rant? And B, take a half mark off, because that's not scientific notation. Question, Lorenzo? You're good? Okay. 1 times 10 to the negative 4, not 3, 4. 2.5 times 10 to the negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes? Again, half mark for the 2.5, half mark for the 10 to the negative 7. 7.8062. Since I don't know what to round off to, I have to include all of the significant digits. Times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Positive 7, yes? So 1 mark for each of those. Keep going. Perform the following operations on your calculator. Haha, I got my trusty calculator. Use the correct number of sig figs and express my answer in scientific notation. Okay, we're multiplying, so it's going to go like this. 2 sig figs, 2 sig figs. My final answer is going to be to 2 sig figs, but I don't round off until then. 5.0 scientific notation button 4 times 1.6 scientific notation button negative 3. If you wrote that, you get a half mark. If you wrote this, you get a half mark, because how many sig figs is that? That's 1. How many sig figs do I need to go to? That's why I have to have a 0.0 there, because it's 2 sig figs. That way I'm telling whoever looks at that value it came from 2 sig figs. So if you missed the 0.0, you lose a half mark. If you just put times 10 and you didn't put a 1 there, because it's always understood that there's a 1 there, I'll live with that. Although typically for scientific notation, that's about the only time that you can make me put the 1 there. I'll put it there for symmetry to make it look scientific notation-y. Any other questions on that one? The next one, 2 sig figs, 2 sig figs. I need to change these and make these more interesting. I'm going to go to, I think, 2 sig figs. 1.5 scientific notation button negative 5 divided by 3.5 scientific notation button 8. And I get that. Now, if you didn't get that, if you don't use the scientific notation button, if you go like this, 1.5 times 10 to the negative 5 divided by 3.5 times 10 to the 8th. You won't get the correct power of 10 because your calculator won't know that this 10 to the 8th is on the bottom of the fraction. You can work around that by adding a whole bunch of extra brackets, but Mandy, I think that makes things just tougher to read, so I strongly recommend for scientific notation, since it's less typing and easier to follow, use the scientific notation button. It's a double win. So, how many sig figs? 2. 4 point, is the 2 going to stay a 2 or become a 3? Become a 3. So 4.3, that gets you a half mark. And then times 10 to the positive, negative 14, that gets you a half mark. And I suspect for all of you, every one of your calculators gave you that answer in scientific notation. I don't think anybody has a 14-character display. This fancy schmancy graphing one, I think, has a 10-digit display. Most calculators have an 8 or 9-digit display, and that's why there's different points at which some calculators give the answer in scientific notation and some don't. And again, if you want to sometime come in during a flex block, and I can show you how to really make your calculator sing, how to change the display, how to make it give you the answers in scientific notation always, how to make it give the answers to a certain number of sig figs always. Most of your calculators have the ability to muck around with all that. Or, I'm lazy, I just learned how to do it all in my head. Number 3. Here's what you can't do. Add them and then say 2 sig figs. We're adding. Adding has nothing to do with sig figs. Instead, you need to write them vertically. But first, I need to unscientific notation these. I didn't do one like this in your notes necessarily. I think there might have been one in your homework. I can't remember. In other words, I'm going to write this first one as 0.00075. That's that first one in standard form. Plus 0.000013. I'm going to add. It looks like, Justin, the first place that I don't know something is right there, so I'm going to round right to there. I'm going to go 0.00075 plus 0.000013, and I get again the same answer as I got before in scientific notation, so I'm going to write this answer, Aisha, in standard form. What I ended up getting was 0.000763. Geo, I'm going to round off to that column. Is the 6 going to stay a 6? So I'm going to end up with, stay a 6 or become a 7? Stay a 6. I'm going to end up with 0.00076. That gets you a half mark. But then it says it wants the answer in scientific notation. Hole schmole, here's your final answer. 7.6 times 10 to the negative 4. If you wrote 7.63 times 10 to the negative 4, sorry, you lose a half mark. Now, I didn't do one specifically like that in the notes, but can I say, Ethan, I don't think I did anything new there. I wrote it in a nicer form. I lined up the decimals, just like I told you. Got an answer. Did the addition rule, Ibrahim, and then, write it in scientific notation. Each one of those we've done separately. Turn the page. Perform the correct number of sig figs. Scientific notation, doesn't matter. 2 sig figs, 0.0, or not 0.0, Mr. Do It, 0.15 times 0.0016. I'm going to go to 2 sig figs. You could either have 2.4 times 10 to the negative 4, or some of your calculators would have gone 0.1232, 3 zeros and then a 24. I'd take either of those. Is that right? Yes? How many sig figs is 40.0? Can you write 2.4? No, 2.4 is incorrect. 2.4 times 10 to the negative 4 is correct. But 2.4, you're telling me the answer is that? You're off by a factor of a million. No, a million? 10,000. So if you just wrote that, I'll give you a half mark. But it's definitely not 2.4. It's 0.00024. Is that okay? So I'll give you a half. 40.0, how many sig figs? 3. How many sig figs? I'm going to go to 3 sig figs. 40.0 divided by 30.00. 3 sig figs is right there. It's going to be 1.33. Anybody write that in scientific notation? I can do it. It's going to be 1.33 times 10 to the 0. No? Okay. Next one. I got to change these questions up. These are boring. Because that's 2 sig figs. That's 2 sig figs. I'm going to go to 2 sig figs. 5.1 scientific notation, negative 5 divided by 6.0 scientific notation, negative 7. I'm going to go to 2 sig figs. 85. Anybody go scientific notation with that? 8.5 times 10 to the 1? 8.5 times 10 to the 1? Yes? Yep. Adding. Okay. 5.06, 8.124. Add. I'm going to round to that column. So 5.06 plus 8.124. I'm going to round to the second decimal point column. I'm going to round right to there. Is the 8 going to stay an 8 or become a 9? 13.18, which I know has 4 sig figs, but that's not how we do the sig fig rule for adding and subtracting. You go to the maximum number of decimal places that you're allowed to. Subtracting, it's going to be 615.824. Take away 55.2. I'm going to round to that column. It's going to be 615.824. Take away 55.2. I'm going to go to 1 decimal place. I'm going to round right to there. It's going to stay a 6. I'm going to get 560.6. I forgot to ask, Ethan, did you do any of those in scientific notation? 1.318 times 10 to the 1. 5.606 times 10 to the 2. Okay. Taking a half mark off because you did the sig figs wrong. You have to have the 06 because that's the decimal point that I apparently went to. Okay. Can you give yourself a lovely score out of 12, please, at the top of the page, right here? You got your green handy-dandy formula sheet handy. That's got all the metric prefixes on there. So you're going to be on the back page where it has the nano and giga and milli and micro and all that stuff. On your upcoming quest, which is probably going to be towards the end of next week-ish, I will give you some conversions. There are metric conversions, and the metric conversions I break into 2 main types, single step and 2-step. Look up. A single step is where you're going from a metric prefix to nothing. Metric prefix to nothing. Or where you're going from nothing to a metric prefix. 1 step. A 2-step is where you're going from 1 metric prefix to a different metric prefix. From 1 metric prefix, nano, to a different metric prefix, mega. From 1 metric prefix, kilo, to a different metric prefix, milli. For 1-step questions, and for 2-step questions, and for 10-step questions, we have a method that will always work, and I want to give you a procedure, an idea, kind of a, look, this is what I always do approach. Anytime they want me to convert something, the first thing that I always do is I write down what they gave me. I'm going to zoom in like crazy, like that. So, although this is going to seem like kind of a lengthy method, relax, it'll work great. Convert the following. What did they give me? 12, what's capital M? You don't need to memorize it, it's on your green sheet somewhere. Capital M, huh? Convert 12 megagrams to grams. I always start out by writing down what they gave me. Because now that I've written something down, Morgan, my question is no longer blank. I feel better. I'm less stressed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by a conversion factor. This is the method that I'm going to show you. So we're all going to put a little times symbol there. And the big question kids have usually is, look, Mr. Duick, I know mega is 10 to the 6th, but I can't remember, do I times it or do I divide it? And I'm going to show you an easy way that you can figure it out. This 12 is a fraction. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Anything is a fraction. What's everything always over? It's invisible. Mackenzie. I'm going to write that just this once, but I'm never going to do that again. But now, can I do that? Okay. We're going to multiply by a conversion factor. So draw a little fraction line here. What do I want my new units to be? Not megagrams, but just plain old. I want those to end up on top. So do me a favor. Put the little G right there. I want megagrams to cancel. Because they're on top in this fraction, I'm going to put them in the bottom in that fraction, because that way those will cancel, except I've made a math error. I've made a math error. I can't write this fraction here. It's not correct. I can't say grams and megagrams are interchangeable. What is mega the same as a power of 10 or as a number from your green sheet? 10 to the 6th? I replace the mega in front of the grams with a 10 to the 6th. This is megagrams, this is megagrams. Where is that 10 to the 6th, on the top or on the bottom? So I'm going to multiply because it's on the top. What would I do if it was on the bottom? Divide. Now, how do I know where it goes? It always goes in front of the base unit that doesn't have the metric prefix. I would not put the 10 to the 6th there. The m is the 10 to the 6th. It's already there. So it's going to be 12 times 10 to the 6th. I get my calculator out and I go 12 times 10, exponent button. This is not scientific notation, so I'm not using my scientific notation button. I'm actually going to type 12 and then times and then 10 to the 6th. I might get an answer back in scientific notation. I don't know. Oh, I got that. A 12 with 6 zeros. Your calculator might have given you your answer in scientific notation. I don't know. So I'm going to write 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1.2 times 10 to the 7th grams. I'm going to change number 2. Do me a favor, look up. Cross out the m right there. And let's put the m in front of that a. Instead of going from milliamps to amps, let's go from amps to milliamps. Okay? Justin, do you remember how I said we start out right away? What do we do all the time?
I haven't understood what you're saying. Did you say write down what you gave me?
Yeah. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down 13.6 amps. I'm going to multiply by a fraction. I want amps to cancel. Where is amps in my original term? On the top. So where is amps going to go in the second term, in the fraction term? On the amps. What do I want left behind on top, Ethan? What units do I want to end up in? What's the little m stand for? Milliamps. I'm going to put that there. However, this is not correct. Milli is the same as 10 to the what? And that is going to go not where the m is. That metric prefix always goes in front of the base unit that has no prefix already. The 10 to the negative 3 goes right there. Now here's the question. Ethan, my friend, where is that 10 to the negative 3? On the top or on the bottom? So that means on my calculator, I'm going to do what with that number? Times it or divide it? Divide. This is what takes away the whole, do I times or do I divide? The fraction will tell you, if you cancel out the units properly, and you can see amps cancels, and the only units that are left behind are milliamps, it's going to be 13.6 divided by 10 to the power of negative 3, which is what? 13,600? 13 amps is the same as 13,600 milliamps. Now you may be saying, Sean, Mr. Duick, I know tricks to do this in my... There are. For one-step questions, there are tricks to do this in your head. But this method that I've showed you works for far more complicated ones. First of all, Chantel, it works for two-step questions. So two-step questions, we want to go, Chantel, what's a lowercase k from the green sheet? Kilo. And then what's this Greek letter mu on the green sheet? We want to go from kilograms to micrograms. Okay? Piece of cake. I don't need to memorize anything. I'm going to build a conversion fraction. What am I going to do first? Write down what they gave me. My question's no longer blank. I feel better. 13.6 kilograms times. And here's my strategy. This is a two-step question. How do I know it's a two-step question? Because I'm going from one prefix, one letter, to a different letter. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this into grams. So I want kilograms to cancel. Where's kilograms going to go in my second fraction if I want it to cancel? Top or bottom? Bottom. Why? Because right now kilograms is on the, you can imagine a little visible over 1 there. I'm not going to write it again. Okay? If it was on the bottom, then on the next fraction I'd put it on the top to get it to cancel. So you're always going to cancel that way. So kilograms. Chantel, the K is going to go with grams up here, except instead of a K, I'm going to put the number there. What's K as a number? 10 to the... It's there somewhere, I hope, I think.
10 to the 3.
3, yep. Okay. Figured out where we are? Yeah, okay. Let's keep going. Chantel, right now, if I did that, kilograms cancel. If I stopped, I've gone from kilograms to grams, because see how the G is the only unit left behind? But we don't want to stop here. You said we wanted to end up with micrograms. So I want grams to cancel. Where's grams going to go in my next fraction, folks? Because right now, grams is sitting on the top. Boom. What do I want left behind on top? My final unit. And what do I want my final unit to be? Micrograms. Except in front of the grams, in front of the base unit, I'm going to replace the micro with the number represented by micro. Ibrahim, micro is 10 to the what? I don't know. Why are you guessing? You got it on your green sheet, kiddo. It's not -3. That was milli. Micro is 10 to the positive 6? Oh, -6. Thank you. You okay with me so far, Chantel? So, numbers on top we times. Numbers on the bottom we. So it's going to be 13.6 times 10 to the third divided by 10 to the -6. That's the answer. 13.6 times 10 to the third divided by 10 to the -6. It's going to be a really big answer, I think. I get an answer in scientific notation. Probably you all did, unless you have a calculator with a long display. Did you all get 1.36 times 10 to the 10th? So, final answer for me, 1.36 times 10 to the 10th micrograms. If I was showing my work, the grams also end up canceling out. You can cross those out if you want to. And again, Colby, I realize this is a little strange, but trust me, if you wrap your brain around this, building a conversion factor set of fractions, any unit conversion question is now doable. 2,000. Mackenzie, what's the lowercase n stand for?
Nano.
And uppercase M?
Mega.
And this is a two-step because I'm going from one to a different one. Any thoughts on how I want to start out?
Write it out.
Write down what they gave me. 2,000 nanoliters. I think I told you I always do my L's as written L's so they don't look like a 1. I'm going to go from nanoliters to liters to megaliters. That's the two-step. So, times. I want nanoliters to cancel, to vanish. Where am I going to put nanoliters? Yep. On the top, I'm just going to put plain old liters, except I need to put the conversion number, the 10 to the, that goes with nano, that always goes in front of the base unit, the one that doesn't have the letter. Nano is 10 to the -9? I was kind of guessing. I kind of remember nano and 9 because, you know, ends. But you don't have to memorize this. It's on your chart. If we stopped here, Can you see, Louisa, we'd be in liters. But we want to keep going. I want liters to cancel. Mackenzie, where am I going to put that in my next fraction? Yep. What do I want to end up with? Oh, you even came up with it. Good. Usually the kids, capital ML, yeah, megaliters. So I'll put that on the top where I want it to end up. What do I have to put in front of this L on the bottom here to symbolize mega? 10 to the... There you go. So what am I going to type on my calculator? 2,000 times 10 to the negative 9 divided by 10 to the 6th. Times if it's on top, divided by if it's on bottom. And I get 2 times 10 to negative 12. 0.000000000002. I would not write that out in standard form. That's scientific notation. Is that okay, Mackenzie? So 2,000 nanoliters is 2 times 10 to negative 12 megaliters. Here's another two-step. We want to go from kilometers to millimeters. We're not going to go there in one step. Instead, Ibrahim, we're going to go from kilometers to meters and from meters to millimeters. Okay. Ibrahim, what am I going to do first? Write down what they gave me. I've written something down. I feel better. Also, you write something down and it kind of gets your brain juices going a little bit as well, I think. Times. What's my first fraction going to be? What's going to be on the bottom unit-wise? And then on the top, just plain old meters. Here's my first step. Except not just plain old meters. What's going to be in front of the M on the top? The same as there's a K in front of the M on the bottom. Not yet. Can't go there in one step. What's this K get replaced with? Look up. Find your green sheet. Find the letter K. Find the power of 10 that goes with it. That's what's going to go here. We can't get to the milli yet. If we do this, we've now, Ibrahim, gone from kilometers to meters. Now we're going to go to milli. By the way, we don't have enough letters in the English alphabet because I realize this M is milli and this M is meters, and the only way you know that is which one comes in front and which one comes at the end. You're going to find very often this year, well, the N here is north, the N here is newtons, the N here is normal. It's going to be the context of where it is, and I'll always try and explain when that happens. So I want to get rid of meters. Brady, where's the meters going to go in my next fraction? Yep. What's going to go on the top, Brady, my friend? That's what I want there. Milli is 10 to the what? 10 to the negative 3. Where's that going to go? Always in front of the base unit that doesn't have a metric prefix. I think I'm going to go 342.5 times 10 to the third divided by 10 to the negative 3. If you're not trying this on your calculator, you're foolish because you don't know how to do exponents on your calculator. So you should be trying this on your calculator, I think. And I get, on my calculator, I get 3, 4, 2, 5, and 5 zeros. I'm willing to bet most of your calculators gave this in scientific notation. I'm going to write it in scientific notation because it's going to be less work. So I'm going to write it as 3.425 times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mr. Duick, how many sig figs should we go to? Generally, for unit conversions, you go to as many sig figs as there was in the original one that you wrote down. Because the conversion factors are presumed to be accurate to an infinite number of sig figs because they're defined. Let me pause. I see a lot of people squinting at their calculators. Is that okay, Justin? Think so? We're going to practice this. Units matter. As much as I hate memorizing stuff, one thing that is worth memorizing is units. And I will always take off marks if you have the incorrect or missing units. Put your pencils down. Look up. Put your pencils up. So units make a big difference. Hannah, I told you that I don't like memorizing things unnecessarily. I don't. I would much rather figure something out simply by looking at knowledge that I already understand, that I already have a good grasp of. You weren't pushed looking at your phone or anything right there, were you? Make sure your phone's and we all grab it for the rest of the day. It's just final warning. Okay? I would rather use knowledge that I already know. As an example, Maddie, do you know how many seconds are in 1 week? I don't either, but I can calculate it. I'm going to start out how? I'm going to write down what they gave me. What's the time frame that they gave me? 1 week. So all of us, let's write down 1 week. What do I want to end up in eventually? Seconds. Okay. Maddie, what can you break a week into? What do you know a certain number of in a week?
7 days.
Days. Okay. I'm going to make the assumption that all of you know that there are 7 days in a week. I want weeks to cancel, so where is it going to go in my conversion factor? Yep. And what did you say I can turn it into? Days. And what's the conversion factor? You told me 7 days is 1 week. Yes? If I stopped here, that would get me into days. I want to end up in seconds. I'll ask, do you know how many seconds there are in a day?
No.
Okay. What can you break days into? What do you know a time frame that you can break days into?
Hour.
Yeah, sure. So where am I going to put days? Where is it right now? On the top. So where do I want days to go in my next fraction? On the bottom. And you told me hours. I'll use H for hours. How many hours is how many days? 24 goes next to hours. 1 goes next to days. Days had canceled. Now we're in hours. Do you know how many seconds there are in an hour?
No.
Good. That's fine. What can you break hours into? Minutes, you say. Okay. So I want hours to cancel. It's going to go on the bottom. I want minutes. By the way, minutes you can't abbreviate with an M because that's meters. You can't abbreviate it with an MI. That's miles. So minutes is MIN. Sorry. How many minutes is how many hours, Maddie?
60.
If we stopped here, we would be in minutes. What do we want to end up in? You don't by chance know how to break minutes into seconds, do you? Oh, okay. So minutes is going to go on the bottom. Seconds is going to go on the top. How many seconds is how many minutes? Okay. Any numbers on top, I'm going to multiply. Any numbers on the bottom, I'm going to divide. And ignore the ones. Because does multiplying or dividing by 1 change your answer at all? No. I built a conversion factor chain, Brady, out of material that I already know. And I was able to do it really without too much thinking by just recognizing I want fractions to cancel along the way. I want units to cancel along the way. So on my calculator, I'm going to go 7 times 24 times 7 times 24 times 60 times 60. I got 604, 800? I don't know. Units, Maddie? Yeah. 1 week is 604,800 seconds. I didn't know that. How many hours in 1 year? I'll always ask. Does anybody know how many hours there are in 1 year? Convince me. Convince me. How? How do you know? Let's build a chain. Why? Let's build a chain. And if you're getting it right, I'm good with that. But for what it's worth, I'm going to use the same method. I'm going to start out by writing down what they gave me, Hannah, which for me is going to be 1 year. By the way, the abbreviation for year is an A for annually, not a Y. Y is taken by yards in the US. If you write a Y, I won't freak out, but I'm a nerd. I'll try and use the correct abbreviations. Hannah, I want years to cancel, so where am I going to put it in my next fraction? I want years to cancel, so where's it going to go in my next fraction, top or bottom? What can you break years into? Cool. What's the conversion factor between days and years? I want days to cancel, so it's going to go in the bottom of my next fraction. What can you break days into? 24 hours is 1 day. I want hours to cancel. What can you break hours into? Sure. Oh, are we done? I mean, we're done? Well, that works. 365 times 24. $8,760? Eli, is that what you had as well? Yeah. Again, if you really want to memorize that, you should knock yourself out. Go ahead. I've never bothered. I can figure it out in a second. How many seconds are in 1 year? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out. Got to pause the video. Let's keep going. How many seconds in 1 year? Okay. 1 year. What can I break years into? Weeks is a bad one because there's not exactly 52 weeks in 1 year. What can I break years into? What can I break years into if I'm really clever and look at knowledge that I've already gained in the last few minutes? Or hours? What can I break a year into now? I got a conversion factor staring me in the face. Why don't I use it? I can actually say, okay, hours. How many hours is 1 year? We just calculated it. What was it? 8,760 hours is 1 year. That was a nice time saver. Now, I want to get rid of hours. What can I change hours to? Now you can go minutes to seconds. Some of my kids know that there's 3,600 seconds in an hour because it's 60 times 60. And if you happen to have that at your fingertips, then I'm fine, Ethan, if you go that way. But I heard someone say minutes, so okay. Minutes, 60. And then I want minutes to cancel to get seconds. 60 seconds is 1 minute. And it looks like what I'm going to end up doing is going 8,760 times 60 times 60. Every year is how many seconds? 31,536,000 seconds. Think back to September of last year. 31.5 million seconds have elapsed since then. Turn the page. I know it's been lots of me talking. If you give me some data, I can often build my own chain. Number 9, I've given you a table of weights and measures, and it asks, How many centimeters in 1 mile? First question, do you see a conversion factor anywhere here to convert miles to centimeters? Do you see anything here that lets me go straight from miles to centimeters? Someone's saying no. No. Well, Goggin, I'm going to start out by writing down what they gave me. 1 mile. I want miles to cancel. Looking at that chart, what can I change miles into? Feet? Oh. What's the conversion factor, Mackenzie? How many feet is how many miles?
5,280.
There you go. What can I convert feet into? Well, this one isn't actually on the chart, but I'm going to gamble you kind of know this because we live close to the States. I think I can go to inches. How many inches are in a foot? What a dumb unit. 12 instead of 10, but 12. So that one there wasn't on the chart. That one, I used my memory the same way as we used our memory for a lot of the time ones. I know 60 seconds in a minute. That's inches. What can I go from inches into? Oh, there is a centimeter conversion factor? So inches on the bottom, centimeters on top. What's the conversion factor? It looks like 2.54 centimeters is 1 inch. Looks like I'm going to go 5,280 times 12 times 2.54 divided by 1, divided by 1, divided by 1. Am I going to bother doing the divided by 1s? I say no. One mile is 160,934.4 centimeters. We'll pick up with this next class a little bit. We'll talk about Fermi problems, and I'll give you some of these to practice. For now, your homework is get completely caught up for next class.